So the total cost for a property I bought in London in 10 minutes was... Hello there guys, welcome to The Break. My name is Patricia. Bright you are over here where we're giving you the tools and resources to learn, grow, navigate life like a boss and make money moves in the process. I hope you are doing well. It's been a hot minute. I feel like I've left you guys for the last 2 weeks. I'm so sorry. I've been busy. I've been busy buying property in 10 minutes. As the title of this video said, yes, that has happened. It's kind of weird. It's riveting. I've gone through a lot of emotions within a 10-minute span, which is jubilee, fear, anxiety, being rich, being broke, all in the same moment because I, for the first time, have purchased a property on auction. But in the corona world that we are living in right about now, there are no more auctions in person. And so I bought this property on auction online in 10 minutes in London. It was a sweep. It was a sweep. I didn't expect it to happen. I put my bid in. The next minute it was like, you're the owner of this property. It's like, sugar. I'm bidding on this one. Let's go. Let's buy. Confirm bid. Ooh, we just bid in the house. Congratulations. You won the auction. Sold for 220. Yeah, it was very, very real. So I thought today I would talk about the property that I bought in London, but also talk about the concept of purchasing a property on auction, because I think there's a lot of people who are interested in buying a property on auction, who are thinking about buying houses a bit faster, or maybe trying to get a house that's a fixer-upper, or just looking for a bargain. And auction may be the option for some and maybe not the option for others. So before we get into this video, can I get a little thumbs up, please? Can we just hit that like button? Can we leave a comment? You know, that engagement is really important. Just hit the like button for me being brave enough to buy a house in 10 minutes. And I'm gonna go ahead and tell you about the whole process. One of the #1 questions when I made mention of this on social media is, how do you find an auctioneer? There are auctioneers absolutely everywhere, all over the world. There are so many auction companies in like plain sight you wouldn't realize. So Savills is one, Barnard and Marcus are also another one. So a lot of your classic estate agent companies or agencies also have an auctioneer arm as well. You can literally Google search auctioneers and you find their auctioneer properties. You can look at a number of different lots online. What you'll find is that you don't have as much information. So you're not going to get the cute backside, cute whatever images. You might just have the image, some legal pack, and like some floor plan if you're lucky. But what I found of late is that a lot of the auctioneer websites now have walkthroughs because people physically couldn't go in to see the properties. We're getting more information than we ever got in the past, which is even better. And you'll also find that a lot of auction properties are already on every single mainstream property website, and you'll be searching through and you'll see a house and be like, oh, that's a good price, and be like, property is on auction. So you can click on that and then register with the auctioneer, which is what your next step is to do. You can register with lots of different auctioneers. They need your information. You can register for free. They need your email address, and then they'll send you the pack of all the lots that are available. You could buy car parks. You can buy hotels, you can buy land via auction. There's a lot of different options that are out there. Once you register, what you're gonna wanna do if you are new to this is go and at least visit a couple of properties to at least see the state of some of them. Now, there are some properties that you're like, this could be so be on the open market, right? And there's some properties you're like, oh my gosh. Then of course, if you're buying a home for yourself, or if you're buying a home for an investment, you wanna look at the area, you wanna look at the amenities, and you also wanna do your maths. I mentioned this earlier on. Hitting that calculation of what you desire is really important. So if your desire is #1 to buy a property, to do it up, to live in it, you have to take into consideration all those costs that are associated and if it's worth the trouble. Now, if you total that all up and it's much more affordable than just buying it on the open market, then it's worth it. If you want to do it because you want to make a profit, if you take into consideration the vendor's fees, the auction fees, the other costs that are associated, Are you even going to be profitable? You do need to look at your maths before you think about buying at auction, because it isn't always the bargain that people think it is. When you go in and you look at the property, you're going to want to look for structural issues and you're going to look for damp and all these other things. But if you're not a professional, what you might want to do is hire a professional to go in, because if there's rising damp, if there's subsidence, if there's a lot of things or issues that actually are going to come up and are going to cost way more than you ever think, it might not be worth it. And these might also impact your ability to get a mortgage. One thing I would say, that a lot of properties that are on auction are sometimes a bit more of a bargain, is because they are unmortgageable. If a property has got damp and wallpaper falling off the walls and no working kitchen and no working bathroom, you can't get a mortgage on it. So you need to be a cash buyer. That's sometimes one of the reasons why properties are a little bit cheaper. And sometimes if a property looks too good to be true, too cheap, too affordable, there might be a little bit of a reason why, even if it is at auction. So you really want to take a close look with a professional to make sure you know what you're getting into. Let's talk about the legal and the paperwork, because this is really essential and this is make or break. And I think actually the legal pack is more important than actually visiting the property, because it contains valuable information. I actually looked at the legal pack and didn't actually see the property, but it told me enough information that allowed me to make a decision to purchase the property in the end. It will contain information whether or not the property is a freehold or a leasehold. It will also give you a bit more information about the history of the works at the property from a structural perspective, or what has legally been obligated for them to put into this legal pack. So that would mean that if they've ever obtained planning permission, or if the roofs ever change, all of this stuff would be registered with the council and also will be contained within a legal pack. If it is a leasehold property, it will give you the terms of the service charges and the ground rents and all these things that are associated with having a leasehold property. It will also give you information on the completion time. So how soon you need to have the funds ready to pay for that property that you've bought on auction. And there are some cases where that is as short as 10 days. It will then have information in relation to the additional fees that are associated with getting the property. So once you make that bid, fine, okay? But there's also the auctioneer's fees, and then sometimes you have to pay the vendor's fees, so you have to pay their legal fees and additional fees that are associated with it. Now this could be anywhere from £2,000 or a percentage of the price of the property at the end of the auction, and in London that could be up to and even more than 2.75%. so you will still need to take into consideration and calculate the additional fees that you will need to pay, and that information is in the legal pack. This is a really interesting thing that I came across, particularly with the auctioneer that I use. But you might buy a property that has sitting tenants in it, and legally you cannot move out sitting tenants just because you're the new owner, depending on the type of contract that there are on. For instance, there is something called an assured tenancy. So there are people who are allowed to stay in a property for life, and then they are allowed to give that property to whoever comes in their generation, like afterwards. I believe that these are all before 1984, but you don't know. You might buy that property at auction and have that kind of tenant in there. So that is a risk as well. So you want to know if the property is vacant or occupied. So when it comes to the legal pack, which is really important and as important as viewing the property, you probably want to get a professional to take a look at it. And it can cost in the hundreds to up to the thousands, but it's definitely worth it because of the amount of money you could lose if you buy a bad property. So you've looked at the legal pack, you've seen the property, you are ready to go. Please just do the costing exercise, okay? You need to determine what the maximum you are willing to bid. This is not a time to get carried away and to allow your ego and emotions to take you. We're doing a last minute bid on a house. Easy to be like, bid again, bid again, bid again, bid again, and then you're 10,000 deep extra. Properties are more than likely to go up. when you are bidding at auction. And the price that you see isn't always going to be the price that it sells for. It can sell in the hundreds of thousands over the price you see there. I assume it's at least going to be 30% more than the asking price. And I think that's a great place to start. So whatever price you see there, add 30% on top of it. I saw that happen particularly after the first bidding post lockdown ending. It was insane. The prices were going far higher than they should have been. So please, when you're looking at the numbers, you still need to check the open market. You need to look at square footage. You need to look at the areas. Do not get carried away and do not overpay for an auction property that needs a ton of work anyway. I did make mention of this earlier on, but I'll talk a bit about the cost about the property that I bought. So I bought a property in 10 minutes in London for £220,000. It is a 1-bedroom studio apartment. It is in, I believe it's in Southeast London. I checked the area, I checked the building that it was in, and I knew I had a bargain on my hand. So when it comes to the fees associated, there's obviously the price that you pay. It was then the auctioneer's fees, which were £1,250. This does vary based on different auctioneers, but this can go up and down. And then there was the vendors and legal fees / contributions. We had a fixed rate of £2,000 to pay towards the vendor. In some circumstances, that can be a percentage, and that can fluctuate based on the price of the property. And then conveyancing and legal fees were around £1,000. And then I'm assuming that my renovation costs are going to be around 15,000, maximum 20,000, bringing my total cost to about 250,000. So the total cost for the property that we purchased on auction was 250,000. My assumption for the market rate for a property like that is about 270,000 to 290,000 based on my research. So if I'm able to sell it for 270,000 to 290,000, I've probably made a 20 to 40 grand profit, which isn't a bad deal. Well, that's if, we get the work done and we decide to sell it. Now, my plan is not to sell it. I'm not trying to renovate and make a profit. Not my goal, not my plan, not my personal strategy. And what I plan to do is rent it out. I believe that the rental yield is around 1,200 to 1,300. So I believe that will give me around a 5.8% yield, which is a decent yield. I might sell it, actually, I don't know. 40 grand would be kind of nice. I don't know, but it wasn't part of the plan. So finally, let's talk about the bidding and the auction and the transferring of funds situation. So on the day you get excited, you bid, bam, that gavel's gone down. That property is now legally yours for the foreseeable future. Now, if you are getting a mortgage, you're either going to organize a mortgage really quickly, and it's highly, highly risky, or you would have organized a mortgage beforehand. However, again, it's very difficult to get a mortgage on auction properties, particularly in short notice, particularly if they are not in good order. Usually you need to be a cash buyer. In this circumstance, we are a cash buyer, and if we wanted to, we could mortgage the property at a later date once it's done, once it's in order, to get our cash back out and to realize the profit. You need to have funds in place. You need at least 10% of a deposit on the day of auction. I believe those funds are transferred within a 24-hour period. Don't get emotionally attached. Don't get carried away. Don't be Mr. Big Bollocks. Just don't do it. If someone's outbidding you, bow out in grace. Let them take that expense on. Don't do it. Finally, the pros and cons, okay? Pro, potentially you're gonna get a good deal. Potentially you're gonna get a bargain. But with that bargain, there are some large risks associated with it, and there are no guarantees. You can get a quick turnaround on an auction property. It's not a joke. A lot of people talk about the house buying process, how long it takes, and months in, whatever. None of that nonsense with an auction property. It's quick, quick, quick. Usually you will complete on a property within 28 days. As I mentioned, you're unlikely to be able to get a mortgage depending on the property, but this means that there's just more options if you are a cash buyer, which isn't everyone, but you can definitely get a mortgage if, again, you give yourself enough time. You see a property at auction, you organize an agreement in principle, you get a mortgage offer on the table, you might be able to get it. Make sure it's got a bathroom and the walls are not falling down. Okay guys, I hope you enjoyed that video sharing a bit about my process of buying a property in London on auction. Now, thumbs up, leave a comment if you wanna see that property, because I haven't even seen it yet. Like, if you wanna see my initial reaction, you gotta let me know right now, because I'm probably gonna go there in like 2 days from now. I've been busy, I've been so busy, I haven't even gone to see the house that I have. That is insane, insane. Okay guys, thank you so much for watching. Hit the like button and I will see you all later. Bye.